I played for 5 minutes. I still see falling blocks in my dreams. It's poetry, art and math, all working in magical synchronicity. It's the perfect game. Tetris?
Tetris.
Tetris. Tetris.
Tetris. I don't get it.
I had no idea about this backstory. So what about yourself when it came to reading the script? Did you have any idea this has happened to one of the biggest games ever?
No, I didn't. But that was what I thought. If I don't know it, then most people hopefully don't know it, which makes it worthy of being made into a movie. And yeah, as you say, it was just such a crazy story. It's always a good sign if the script's a real page turner and it's not a struggle to get through. That's a really good sign, because sometimes you get sent stuff and it feels like a chore. Definitely not. You definitely shouldn't be making those films, I think. But love the script, love the story, and yeah, it's just slightly unbelievable, really. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, and Hank has been talking about how the film's emotionally true to what they went through back in the late 80s. How much did you take from your conversations with Hank to bring to your portrayal of what they went through?
Well, I think what Hank means by that is that while the bare bones and facts of it are true, that there is license taken as well, and it is kind of larger than life, and the story is condensed somewhat. But it's true to the spirit of who they are. And I think that's what you try and do as filmmakers, is try and capture the spirit, and you do that through an interpretation of sorts, I suppose. And from Hank, I was just able to get a sense of how single-minded and ambitious and determined he was, and how much he genuinely cared for this guy who he met over the course of the story that we depict in the film. So yeah, that's what I took from him, really.
Yeah. Did you take this as an excuse to do some play some Tetris again as preparation for the role, get you into the mindset?
I did. I played loads of Tetris. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
It's not a bad life, is it, really?
No, it's good. These are the things I get paid to do,
So Hank, with these kind of things, there's always creative license, but how accurate is it to the moment where you first discovered it at the trade show through to everything that happened to you? How accurate to real life is it?
So there are a lot of things that are really accurate, and there's a lot of poetic license. What came through is my feelings and the anxiety of, having to end up in the Soviet Union and walking through a door. I knew I was breaking laws in the Soviet Union. I really didn't know whether I was going to end up in a gulag or what. It just was a little scary.
Yeah, definitely. And Alexey, back when you had that genius idea in the 80s to come up with Tetris, how surreal now does it feel that not only did it go on to become one of the biggest games ever, but is now an actual movie about all the making behind it?
Well, I never expect anything like that when I start working on my small baby, my game. And basically when those stuff happened, we didn't think about it will be in the movie, all this episode when we just met each other. So we really were concerned how to avoid the jail time rather than to be in the movie,
Yeah. Was there a particular element that really surprised you that was actually true to real life behind this story?
There's so much of it, I mean, just the fact that some guy, some crazy sort of computer nerd, for want of a better description for Hank, who is a lovely guy, putting himself in this extreme danger and risking everything for this unproven at the time video game, that was something. But just throughout the film, when I was reading the script, I was thinking, this can't be true. And when I realized it was true, I thought, right, I have to make this movie, because I have to make people feel how I felt when I was reading the script. I always went back to that when I was making a film. It's like, always keep that in your mind, Yeah. So, there's so much to it. But just in general, the amount that Hank was willing to risk, and the amount that Alexey was willing to risk, because Alexey is as much a heroic figure as Hank is in this film, So, yeah, the whole thing shocked me.
Yeah, and I think Taron plays Hank's kind of relentless energy and charm really well. He could be irritating, but you just want to be on his side all throughout. Because Matthew Vaughn had worked with Taron before, did that make him the fit? Was he always forefront, or were there other things to cast Hank?
Well, I was working with Matthew on Kingsman 3 in the 6 months leading up to when we received the script for Tetris, and obviously Taron was going to be in that movie as well, so I had conversations with Taron, and then when that film got put on hold, it was just like an automatic, all right, we're going to shift from this project over to that project. So we all kind of, the three of us all sort of jumped over at the same time, and he just seemed like the natural fit. He'd obviously done Eddie the Eagle, and he'd done Rocketman as well. So he had this experience with portraying real life characters, and I had experience obviously with Stan and Ollie and Cass, my very first movie, about doing the same. So it felt like the right fit that we all were bringing, that we're bringing things to the table that we could potentially make this a great film.
I feel we need to talk a little bit about the moustache, because Hank's got a great tash. Is it all your own work, or did you have to get a bit of help?
I will say that it was all my own work, in as much as I had to wear that fake moustache for all those hours. The thing is, it's like I kind of quite like the look. When we first tested it, and I thought, wow, I could get into that. But I didn't appreciate quite how uncomfortable it would be over that length of time. And it was a struggle. I don't mind saying it was a struggle. I didn't enjoy wearing a fake mustache, and I probably wouldn't be tempted into doing it again. But it's good for the movie, because that's how Hank looked at the time, and it's quite 80s, and it looks quite good, I think.
Tash,
So you struggle for your art. What can I say?
Yeah. Just finally, what are you hoping that viewers get from this when Tetris comes out on Apple? Is it just learning this ridiculous story that's behind Tetris?
Well, I think like anything else I've done with Matthew, Kingsman, Eddie the Eagle, Rocketman, they're all kind of quite larger than life and colourful and fast paced, and I hope really entertaining. So I hope people just have a great time watching it. It's really fun. It's a really fun movie, and I hope that people are surprised and delighted and are surprised that it's a true story. But I mainly just hope people have a good time.
Hank, I was wondering, obviously, because Taron is the face of this film, did he come to you for advice of like the kind of memories you were going through at that time to bring into his performance, or did he try and keep that separate?
I think he was more concerned with being able to capture my personality. So we Zoomed, and we had a conversation. It wasn't so much about the specific memories, because that's the script kind of takes care of that. But he did want to see what kind of person that he was portraying.
Yeah, and Alexey, same to you. Did Nikita come to you about like your experience at that time?
Oh yes, we did Zoom as well, and he were very meticulous with all the detail, the small detail in my habits in my life at that time, and he did a great job. Did you like him in the movie?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think both of you, not just because you're real life, but the characters.
I think this he made tremendous job.
Yeah, I think
Very
one
well.
of my favorite scenes is that nightclub scene with Hank pulling some moves to the final countdown. Hank, how accurate is that? Do you have those moves? Do you have better moves?
So I'm not the dancer. I do remember a very fascinating musical event in Moscow. I don't exactly remember which trip it was. All these things get like, how can I say, mangled together. It's hard to tell what happened when.
Well, in spirit, that was several occasions like that. So once we went to underground kind of singing club to meet with the Russian folk singer.
Yeah.
He was very.
Oh my God, it was so amazing, and we were all singing Russian folk songs.
Yeah.
So it's that's the ones from the game. It's like, oh my gosh.
is it always a tricky balance to work out like how much kind of creative license you can bring when you're telling these kind of stories? Did you learn from those films when it came to Tetris?
Yeah, I think that a good barometer is actually talking to the real life people and asking them how much they're willing to have their story embellished. Yeah. We were at South by Southwest last night at the global premiere, and the film really played well there. And we had a Q&A afterwards on stage, and Hank, the real Hank, was asked this question about how much of this film is real. Yeah, and he very diplomatically said, "It's 100% emotionally true." Yeah. Which I thought was a great way of saying, okay, the car chases and maybe some of the other stuff are metaphors for, you know, the Soviet state and you know, and what they were trying to do. But yeah, him and Alexey both feel that the film is very much a true representation of their journey, you know.